Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. My name is Sukhi, but everyone calls me Sukhi Kaur. From Birmingham, been blessed to be in Sikhi since 2007, and I'm very, very honoured and humbled to be here to meet all of you guys today. Like Benji said, there's very, very little opportunities for women to come together in such an informal, open setting. So please don't feel that, because got a big damala and fancy stuff in my dastar, you can't talk to us. The whole point of us coming here so we can all make links and relationships with each other, because the most important thing that I think that has been lost in our Sikh women is the support network. And if we look back in time, Bibi stuck together. If we go back to our mother's times and our grandmother's times, I remember living on my little cul-de-sac, and my nanny would have her best friend who lived across the street, who'd have another friend who lived across the street, and we were all in each other's houses, and we all grew up as a big community just within our local area. But I just found that in the 10 years that I was growing up, we all sort of drifted off into our own worlds, our work, our families, our parai, our responsibilities. For women it's much harder than men, because like Benji mentioned earlier, we not only have to balance families, we have to balance, we have to cook, clean, be educated, be fantastic cooks, and there's a lot of pressure on women today. Not just women in the conventional sense. I was at my mom's house the other week, and my sister was watching some dribble on the telly. What was it? Keeping up with what are they called? The Kardashians. Keeping up with the Kardashians. Who's heard of Keeping Up with the Kardashians? Anyone here ever watched that? So she was watching this program on TV, and apparently this one woman has become famous because some very inappropriate video went around of her on the internet, and now apparently she's a worldwide icon. And what frightened me was my sister's response to it. She goes, "Oh, if I only looked like Kim Kardashian." I was like, oh my god, seriously? But there's a big change in the generation from when we were young to what our role models, what our inspiration has become today. Unfortunately, we live in a society where appearance, everything is important. Amongst Asian women, there's a lot of pressure on women. Am I wrong in saying that we not only have to be clever, we have to be worldwide chefs, we have to samal our families, then as we grow older we get married and we go into our husband's families and we make it. A woman goes through so many journeys. She is a daughter, she's a wife, she's a sister, she is a mother, she'll become a grandmother. A woman goes through so many journeys that a man doesn't, and it's a wonderful thing that makes a woman a woman. And the point of this hub is to look at all these aspects of a woman and embrace them, and have other women to share the good points of all those things, but also the not so good things if we're having problems. I mean, again, am I correct in assuming that sometimes within our community, especially with women, there's a big stigmatism about talking and opening up when we have problems or we're going through difficult times, because we fear condemnation, we fear judgment, we feel the besti, badnami, barrier, cause corner, these kind of, it's aimed to eliminate that, to provide you a good support network. Now all of our sevadas that come here today, after this we will go, you will see us again, but what's going to be left behind is a hub that's made up of all of you guys. Now be honest, have this whole day that you might think is quite a long day today, but hopefully by the end of this day you'll all have links, you'll make relationships with each other, and having this on a regular basis will enable you guys to connect, build that community support network within this community. And I think it's very needed for our women. We need to support each other, we need to be there for each other, not just through the good stuff, the bad stuff as well. So with that in mind, we were thinking about all the topics we could discuss today. So I thought we'll try and keep it simple, but try and cover a lot. So the title of today's topic is Keeping It Real. And the underlying topic is that is honesty and understanding why are we here? What is our purpose here? Surely we weren't meant to be born, grow up, do our parai, get married, have children, raise our children, watch them go through the same cycle that we did, go into retirement, come to the end of our days, and that's it. So again, defining here. So we've got three aspects of this concept of being here. So we've got the hub launch today. what was it that inspired you guys to come here today? It's very, be very honest. You didn't know what it was about. You come, is it just a passing time thing? Oh, there's something happening. I've got nothing else on. I'm saying Vaiguru has presented a wonderful opportunity for all of us today. Nothing happens by coincidence. I believe Maharaj does everything for a reason. It's a very true belief of mine. I believe that we are all here today because we've all got something. We've got a message from Maharaj. Because ultimately, don't look at the person that's standing here talking. Maharaj had a message for us all, so he's brought us together and we're going to hear. But what I like to think is, Maharaj, tusi api jo discussion karna tusi kar lo. So we're all here because Maharaj has something he wants to share with us. So let's use this day today to really connect about what we're here, what we're doing, what our purpose is in life. Now, we're all blessed here to be born into the house of Guru Nanak. Now, I know when I just say that word, I get goosebumps all over my body because I think, wow, that's epic for me. Because the house of Guru Nanak, the road takes you straight to God. What it's become, it's a truth. It's such a beautiful truth. I mean, if you read Gurbani and we're going to be going through some of the sweet words that Guru Nanak and all our Gurus share with us, it's something that has been handed down to us. But let's not leave it there. Chalo, sare mummy daddy Sikh si, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਮਾਪੇ Sikh ਸੀ, ਅਸੀਂ ਵੀ Sikh ਬਣ ਗਏ, and then ਸਾਡੇ ਨਿਆਣੇ ਵੀ Sikh ਬਣ ਗਏ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਗਾਂ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਨਿਆਣੇ Sikh ਬਣ ਜੂਗੇ. That becomes the box of our Sikhi, doesn't it? But now what we want to try and do is use Kaur's Corner as a way to expand this framework of epicness, as I call it. Because Guru Nanak Dev Ji was epic. In today's standards, he was a revolutionary. He challenged everything that was a hypocrisy to God. It's as simple as that. He never called Hindus bad, he never called Muslims bad, he never called anyone bad. He called the hypocrisy done under God's name bad. So then when I think of that, we can look outwardly and think, well, what's happening in the world? What kind of hypocrisy is happening? I'm not too concerned with that at the moment, because for me, the hypocrisy, judgment and analysing has to come within ourselves. How much of a hypocrite are we? And I ask this question to myself, not to anyone else. मैं दस्तार बनी या मैं कुर्बान पाई या मैं बाना पाया पर मैं गुरु महाराज दे पैरे ते चल रही हूं. Because a guru and a teacher, that relationship between a guru and a teacher, if we go back to the olden days when, or even today nowadays, when you learn a saj, you have an ustad, उन्होंने guru कहते सी पुराने बोली विच भी तुसी गुरु ताले तुसी उनको सीखना कुछ. Without a guru, you can't get to God. So to understand how Sikhism works, how our gurus worked, they didn't just magically pop into air, have 10 forms, preach something and then go away and disappear. They said, you need help to get to God. I understand how hard it is in the world. I understand the difficulties that you're all going to face trying to come to me. God said this to Guru Nanak. So he goes, I'm going to send you, Guru Nanak, on the world to show people how to find me because people have forgotten. Do we all understand the concept of Kali Yuga and the 4 ages? If there's anyone who doesn't, please put your hand up so I can expand on that, because I don't want to talk about things and you guys not understand what they mean. So please talk back at me. I don't want to spend an hour with just you lot all going, do we all understand what Kali Yuga is? Can I hear a yes or no? Yes, so we all understand that we are currently in this age of Kali Yuga, but Dharam stands on one leg. Goodness, anything that's good in the world is standing on one leg. So you imagine the whole world is on 4 legs. You had the first age, which is Satyug, where Dharam stood on 4. Then you had Dwapar, no, Treta, 3, Treta, where Dharam stood on 3. Dwapar, 2, we're in Kali Yuga, 1. Dharam is hanging on by a thread. So you only have to look in the world, you have to watch the news. The thing I was telling you about the Kardashians thing, about how now people who are selling their bodies and doing absolutely ridiculous things are being celebrated. Look, and our poor young girls, our children, I have a young boy, and if I go on to have a daughter, I fear, because I'm like, the society that we're living in, how do we filter when 90% of the dunya is going one way? But you know what always gives me hope? I remember the Sakhi of Guru Nanak Dev Ji when he stood in the river and everyone's throwing the water at the sun. And he goes and stands in the river and starts throwing it in the opposite direction. You got to remember with that Sakhi, yeah, there were thousands of people on that river. Because we hear the Sakhi, we think, yeah, what's the big deal? You got to imagine, there's thousands of people around this river and they're all doing it in one direction. What does Guru Nanak Dev Ji do? He doesn't go on the end where no one sees him. So imagine you are all the river. He makes his way and he stands right in the middle, in front of all these people, and they're all throwing their water that way. He stands in the middle and he starts throwing it the opposite way. He wanted to create that commotion. He wanted people to say to him, "Eh, tu sadai ja ki kari janna ya? Pani udhar no sitna, tusi udhar sit de ya." He was a revolutionary. Everywhere he went, where there was hypocrisy, he caused chaos. To hypocrisy, not to truth. He was a revolutionary, Guru Nanak Dev Ji was. He went into a Hindu mandir and they were all doing arati and he just sat there, so looking at his nails thinking, yeah. And the Hindu priests are looking at him saying, "Besharam, sadi dharam di besti kiti hai. Why didn't you stand up in the arati and why didn't you join in?" And the Guru Nanak Dev Ji laughed. He goes, "Well, you were doing your arati, your mind was back at home because your wife just had a baby boy." He goes, "I was here, where were you? Where were you here?" See, Guru, hai na? Guru looks inside. This isn't enough. Please don't be fooled by thinking that keeping your gaze, shocking Amrit is very important. I'm not saying that. But what needs to come with and before that is the Gurban on the inside, the Dastar on the inside, the thinking, the Sochini. That's what our Gurus changed. This is a byproduct. If we can become epic in our actions and our intent, this will come. I say to my Bibi, any talk that I do, I say, do not worry about Amrit. Do not worry about shocking Amrit. Because Amrit is not inna sastani. Guru Maharaj is Amrit is inni badi daata na, that when you're meant to have it, whether you want it or not, Guru kanno khech ke sikhanda ya. I'm going to share a personal story with you. I was having a conversation with a family member. She's on my in-law side. And when I got married, when you're still making those new relationships with your in-laws, or there's a new family or new cousins that come into your family. And we were just talking, getting to know each other, and she goes, "I sometimes wonder at my life." She goes, "When I grew up," "I grew up in a Sikhi household." She goes, "My grandfather would sana sakya to me every night." She goes, "There's nothing about Sikh itihas that I don't know." She goes, "But I never got Amrit." And then when she got married, her husband's lovely, but uda Sikhi wal dhyan hai nahi. And she goes, "I know I'll never get Amrit." She goes, "But I know that I've done something in this life, that if I don't get it in this life, I'll get it in the next life." Amrit is a very, very big thing. Now, I was born in a family where no one is Amritari. My mom is not Amritari. Dad is an Amritari. My siblings aren't Amritari. My husband's side, none of my in-laws are Amritari. We were a Gora household. We didn't go to the Gurdwara. When it was anyone's birthday, we'd all go to the pub together and have a drink. And, I went very, very Gora Mahal. Our family was no knowledge on Sikhi growing up. I didn't know about, you have the photos up in the house, don't you? Guru Nanak Dev Ji on that side, Guru Gobind Singh Ji on that side. You go to Gurdwara on a Sunday, you're quite bored. You want to go play in the car park with all your friends. Your dad sits you down and makes you listen to the hour of Kirtan. And I'd be counting the clock. I'd be like, "Come on, 1 o'clock, I know the Ardas happens at 1 o'clock, hurry up, come on, 1 o'clock, I don't want to be here on board." I had no interest in Sikhi, no interest in Dharam. And as I grew older, I actually became a little bit atheist. I didn't believe in God, I didn't want to believe in God. It didn't fit in with my life. Went to college, went to university, I prefer the clubbing lifestyle. I went to Ibiza, I went to this nightclub that turned into a swimming pool, and I actually don't remember how I got home that night. I'm being very honest with you because I don't want you to have any false conceptions that I was born into this and my whole family is like this. No. How I got Amrit, I have no idea. And if Guru can bless a puppy like me, because I know what I've done, no one else knows what I did in my life before Guru took me. But if there's hope for me, God, there's hope for everyone and there's hope for anyone. But ik karma di kheda, and I know that since that day the Guru blessed me, I just do ardas, Maharaj, don't ever take it away. That doesn't come with a dastar and kirpan, that comes from a pyar inside that he puts inside you. When your Guru wants you, it's like kuch kuch hota hai, Hussein kuch kuch hota hai. It's one of my favorite films ever. So you have Maharaj, God, the like Shah Rukh Khan in it. you're Kajal. Then I like to think of Kal Yuga as like Salman Khan. You know, you like him, he's there, you know, he's done a lot of good films, yeah, him and Kajal look good together. But you want her with Shah Rukh, you want that love story to work. Because them two are just awesome. They make a good jodi, don't they? These are Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gham. What's the other ones that they've done? I can't remember now. I can't remember that show. But they've done loads of films together, haven't they? And they're the ultimate jodi. I'm trying to bring it down onto a worldly level so we can understand it. Maharaji Shah Rukh, yo Kajal. Our purpose in life is very simple. To fall in love with him. Find your soulmate. Find your Atma. If you read Gurbani, and that is full of pyar, Guru Arjan Dev Ji, Guru Amar Das Ji Maharaj, you hear how much prem they have with Rab. And you thought, I know I thought, I'm like, God, why don't I feel that? Every difficulties that our Gurus faced in life, we face in life. As women, we have it hard. We have in-laws, we might have stress from parents, we might have difficulties with our children, whatever age you are. You've got peer pressure because the people around you want to be one way, you want to be another way. You feel like you're being pulled left, right and center. It's very, very hard for a woman, but Guru shows. Guru aap apne life, and if you read your at the heart, there's one thing I advise our Bibiyan, you are going to bring, Maharaj gave Aurat the darja to bring life into this world, not a man. You cannot do it without a man. But Maharaj made Aurat perfect because she brings life into this world. As Benji mentioned earlier, from her kings are born. Maharaj celebrated a woman. We are celebrated by our Guru. He puts us there and he puts us on stages equal to men. When Guru Amar Das Ji started the Bai Manjiyan, he put women in charge of them. Because we as women, we feel more than men do. Everything is an emotional journey for us. It's very easy for a woman to find God because it's very easy to imagine God as a husband and for us as a female to be his bride. I think for a man it can be a bit difficult to imagine himself as a woman, and then they have the bandiyan da Maharaj ne idda hi banaya. That's why he gave Aurat the darja of bringing life into this world. Because for those first few years of your child's life, you are that child's Guru. You will be your children's Guru. You are your children's Guru. Your children are a mirror of you. I'm sure women who have had children or who are children and ma vargiya and daddy vargaya. Children khali pande ho ke aunde a. Maharaj to suche ho ke aunde a. And whatever we put inside our children is what they become. It's nothing complicated, it's very simple. When I became a mother, I had to take a big look in the mirror. Because Maya Adatan started showing in my son. And I was like, oh my God, he's very bossy, isn't he? God, he really says his opinion well and doesn't run. So that's the basis of here and understanding why we're here and what we have to do. Now we have this thing about, the topic I want to discuss is why are we here, how are we here? So I compiled this little framework and I'm going to work through all that with you now. We have Hukum. Maharaj Vallo Hukum Anda, that's why we're here today. God created the world, we are all here. We are something that was made in his image. Now when we're here as a result of Karam. Karam is literally your actions and your intent. That's how I put a line around this. Your free will is what you do under those things, action and intent. Your actions and the intent in which you do those actions will produce consequences. Any small thing that you do, you put a piece of bread in the toaster with the intent to make toast. The consequence is you'll have toast. Everything has an action and consequence. You put your kapde on in the morning, it's so you can leave the house. If you don't, you're going to leave the house naked and people are going to stare. Every action has a consequence. If we can understand this concept, everything that you do, you say, you think, you feel has a consequence. Intent is internal, action is external. Between the two, you'll have consequences of those actions. Now, a worldly example is if someone commits a murder, 99%, well, why am I saying 99%? Because, there's people who've gotten away with things, but I would like to say between 70-80% that person will suffer consequences of committing that murder. He will be tried, he would be investigated, and he will go to prison, and he will serve a life sentence on a dunyavi taur. Spiritually, he has now made a karam with that person that he's murdered. Now, because he's murdered that person's gone, but the karam's still there. So now that these two people now have to come back in their next life to fulfill that karam. We hurt anyone, we upset anyone, we do something consciously, remember. Our Guru Maharaj isn't a tyrant. He understands that sometimes we get frustrated and we say things and we do things that we don't mean. But he looks for that pashtava in us. When Guru Maharaj says, Harji Mata, Harji Pita, Harji Opritapalik, Harji Mata, he is your mother. What is a mother? Just think back to your own mothers and the relationships that you have with your mothers. Regardless of where you are, you might find her annoying, you might think she's the best thing in the world, you might have had your problems with them. From when you are born, your mother did everything for you. She fed you, she bathed you, she clothed you, she did everything because you were not able to do it for yourself. And that's how Guru Maharaj, that's why Maharaj wants you to think about these things. Harji Mata, he is your mother. Who put your mother there to take care of you? He did. Maharaj has got this perfect system that he looks after you in. Sometimes we wait for this big sign, don't we? We want Guru Maharaj to Pratak come inside and do something, say something. We want darshan. We want these big things for our faith to be proven. Maharaj, I need to know that you exist. We need to look for Maharaj in the everyday things that we do, and you'll find him everywhere. And when I had my baby, I got diagnosed with cancer during my pregnancy with him. So I had liver cancer after I had him. And then he'd just been born, I was ill, he was premature. There was only my mother. My husband, bless him, took so much shuktiyan while I was in hospital. He had to go back to work, otherwise he was going to lose his job. So he says to me, Sukhi, tu mummy ke ja. My mom raised my baby for 3 months, and she had to look after me like a baby for 3 months. And that's when I saw Maharaj. My mom is an Amritari. But God gave me I had qadr for my mom when I myself became a mom. I wasn't able to look after my child, but my mom did it all for me. She raised me and she raised him. She would get up and do his night feeds. In the morning she'd make my breakfast, do his porridge. Then raat oh ek maa hi kar sakdi hai jida Rab sanu ek naal sadi maya kake oh cheez dinda hai. He gives that thing to us, and we think, where is God? Look in the people around you. You'll find him everywhere. So a lot of what I'm saying I want to take back to Gurbani, because when we have a guru, our guru talks to us through Gurbani. Guru talks through Gurbani. That was the whole point of Gurbani. When Guru Gobind Singh Ji gave Guruship to Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj, he could have carried on. We could have had a lineage of gurus, of people. But what happens? We fall in love with the person and we forget the message, don't we, sometimes? So Maharaj says, no. I go, my entire line goes with me. Guru Gobind Singh Ji went, he took his 4 sons, he took his father, he took his mother, he took every trace of a lineage with him. He goes, mere magar na lage. Karki jiri bani uttaro aiya. It's come from him. Onna jodu. That is when you know you have a true guru. Because he's saying, my job is to take you back to where you came from. My job is to remind you all that you have forgotten. That's why we are so lucky. Gurbani tells us everything. Look, everyone is subject to his command. No one is beyond his command. So some people say, well, I have my free will. You know, I don't want to live in Hukum, I want my free will. You cannot escape him, because he made you. And when we accept that as part of our life, you become to feel a lot more, there's someone who's told me what it's all about. There's someone now who's stopping me from making my mistakes. Like when I was 16 and I wanted to go have a tattoo done, my mom was like, "Putthe kaam ki kari jani hai tu? Tu byah karna, tu nyane hone, unna nu ki karna hai?" I didn't listen, did I? Because it's just there. But the point I'm trying to make is, like your mother, your guru tells you everything in Gurbani. He gives you a choice. going back to our philosophy of actions and consequence. An action is simply a physical manifestation of your will. Every action will have a consequence, and every action is fueled by your intent. But if you simply categorize it, you have good actions and you have bad actions. Gurbani, Guru Maharaj, Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj lays it all out for you. Lays it all out for you. He tells you what happens. So let's go into good actions. By the good fortune of good deeds done in the past, you have come, as in you have been born. And now you perform actions to determine your future, where you're going next. Reincarnation, it's a cycle. You keep doing, you keep asking, you keep wanting. Maharaj doesn't deny you. We think Maharaj is this big, vengeful. Let's take Maharaj off his pedestal and let's bring him down to us. Let's take ourselves off the floor and bring ourselves up to him. Maharaj has made it very clear. This isn't telling us off. He's just saying it. Tu change kam kitte hai. There's this 84 lakh, so you have animals, insects, janwar, trees, plants, they're all life forms. The highest amongst all those is a human birth. So first thing we have to be thankful is that we are human beings. The second thing we have to be thankful of, we are born into the house of Guru Nanak, who tells us these things, and he tells us what to watch out for, what to be careful for. He doesn't judge, he simply tells you, like our mums and dads. We do something stupid. I came back home with that tattoo. My mom never spoke to me for 2 days. But 2 days later, we were back to normal. Because that's the relationship you have with your mother. Jinne maje tusi pange le liya karo, maa hundi a, kudi hundi a. Maa kudi ko nahi reh hundi, kudi oh maa apni kudi to bagair nahi reh sakdi. We have a turbulent relationships with these people. But I'm trying to Hariji Mata. Just like in Gurbani, he warns you. Even if you slip up and you make the mistakes, he's still there to pick you up. Now we have the bad actions. Within this body dwell the 5 thieves: sexual desire, anger, greed, emotional attachment, and egotism. They plunder the Amrit, the goodness. The Amrit is all that goodness that's inside you. But the self-willed manmukh does not realize it, and no one hears his complaint. A self-willed manmukh is someone who thinks, yeah, that's me. Manmukh is simply someone who listens to what he has to say rather than what Guru has to say. Remember, Guru isn't this all-condemning person who's going to come down and cast judgment and say, you're like this, you're like that. Guru's job is to teach his students. And Guru teaches us the meaning of life. But because we are in this world of illusion, we are in this world where women are objectified and, there's so much pressure on women. That's what you don't even realize that you're stuck in it. We want to be like someone, there's a popular person in college, or there's another family who's got so much more than we have, or we think that they've got so much more than we have, or a person who's got something so much more than we have. And see, indro jalde hain. Something happens inside us. That's that intent I was talking about. Now women do this very good. It's just like, haan, navi gaddi liya, wow, soniya. Intent, action. You paid that person a compliment, but inside you're cursing that woman. How the hell did she get that nice car? I want a car like that. I'm just giving you an example. But see, when your actions and your intent don't match up, he knows. The one person who sits inside you other than you is him. Then you realize in your own head that, oh yeah, I had a God thought there, Mother, thank you. Oh yeah, no. That person walks in who you don't like Benji just walked in, oh, it's her again.
I love you too.
Maharaj knows the intent. Don't ever think he doesn't know what's going on inside. Also, when you're hurting, when you feel that there's something going on inside you that you can't talk to anyone about, try talking to him. In whatever, Maharaj na prem samajhda hai. You don't have to get a good cat and start doing Japji Sahib. If you're feeling pain inside and you need to reach out to your Guru, he's there. If you feel that don't mistake my meaning, if you feel doing that Japji Sahib part and you understand it will bring you what you need, you do that job to decide about. But sometimes you're in such an emotional state or you're going through such a turmoil inside you, you need to reach out, like physically. I know when I get upset about something, I'll go to my husband and I'll just cuddle up and I'll be like, it's such a stressful day. Sometimes you need that on the inside as well. You call with that pain, I guarantee you he'll answer back. I know, because that's what I've experienced. I can't make stuff up like this. I can only say that when I've tried to call out to him or when I've been upset about something, he gives you something back. You've just got to look out and listen out for it. It might be through the person, it might be something inside you you'll feel. You will have your own relationship with your Maker. You'll have your own relationship with him. How I connect to him might be very different to how you will connect with him. The important thing is that connection with him. Intent. And this is what I was talking about. External and internal. Outwardly polluted. Not inwardly polluted, sorry. And outwardly pure. Those who are outwardly pure yet polluted within lose their lives in the gamble. Because Maharaj knows, he's telling you, he's like, I know. You can fool everyone else, but you can't fool me. Just like those poor women who, despite what they're going through, they put that big smile on their face and they go out. Maharaj sounds there. You lighten that load with him, you will feel better. It's always about you and him. It was always meant to be about you and him. Not, you don't need to worry about how I connect to him or how the person next to you is going to connect to him. You need to ask yourself these questions. Am I connecting to him? And if I'm not, why aren't I connecting to him? How do I see my Guru? How do I see God? Some people will see him with a big white fluffy beard and a turban and he's sitting up in the sky, and some people will find him sitting under a tree in their back garden because that's when they feel peace. You find him any way that you want, but connect to him. All this will come. If it won't come now, it will come in the future. If it doesn't come in the future, it will come in the Agla Janam, because you were born into the house of Guru Nanak. So now we're going back to that concept of free will. Within Hukum, you always have a choice of what kind of actions to commit with the intent you choose to manifest that action. Now we say that I didn't have a choice, you always have a choice. You might get so angry at someone, you might get so frustrated, or you might be so happy and you want to do something. You always have a choice before you do something. And this is one thing I implore all my Bibiyan, all our women, because women, as equally as they are an amazing force to be reckoned with, when they're on the flip side of that, hell hath no fury than a woman scorned. Isn't that the saying? Jidda na aurat swarg bana sakdi hai, aurat nark bhi unna sheti bana sakdi hai apne aadatan naal. So this action that I'm talking about, the biggest action in women is our body. How we speak to people, how we speak about people, how we conduct ourselves with people. The common example I see, and I will be honest, I have been a part of it as well. You go to the Gurdwara and someone will come up to you and say, "Tu flanne wale sunya si da hoya si?" Oh, da hoya si. And then this whole chapter starts about something that happened in some plan. And sometimes you'll be part of this conversation and you don't want to be part of that conversation and you find yourself dragged into it. There's always a choice. Stop. Walk away. These are practical ways that we change this whole concept of intent and actions. We need to change ourselves within as well as without. Without will come as a consequence of changing within. But if we change without first and don't work on within, ye sara khali reh janda hai. There is fal of taking Amrit. You can't get mukti without taking Amrit, because Guru Maharaj tells us. But to fully experience what Amrit was meant to be, it will only happen within yourself. We will come into Sangat now. We're going to have this discussion. We're going to do loads of pampering. There's so much happening today. But the test starts when you leave this Gurdwara this evening and what you choose to practically apply to your lives. I will always say this isn't enough. There has to be something that goes with it, that changes within you. just as changing yourself within, this will simply come as a result of that. Women who are beautiful within, it shines. You know, sometimes you see like some woman and you be like, that woman's just radiant. I don't understand how she glows so much. I've seen women like that. I'm like, yeah, she looks like she's. You know, when you talk to them and you interact with them and you see that this woman is like a wonderful manifestation, you feel inspired just by talking to that person, and you think, wow, you have the power to become that. But this means confronting all those fears, all those insecurities, all those peer pressures that are inside you, one at a time, and ask for his help. You're never on your own. We sometimes feel like we're on our own because we're fighting 50 million battles. Pressure from school, studies, parents, in-laws, children. Sometimes a woman, how she remains standing through all this is Maharaj ne jidda ek aurat banai hai, tanna aurat. And Maharaj has said it, unhe Bani vich bhi aurat da darja kita hai. If he's put an aurat in Bani, there's no bigger satkar than that ke Bani turo aiya. The Rab has given satkar to aurat. Aurat brings life into this world. How that life is then brought up, like aurat di zimmewari hai. Yes, we have a lot of husbands who are quite hands-on with their children. Yeah, my husband will bath and change and do all that stuff with my son. But my son comes to me, minnu sawal puchda hai, minnu question puchda hai. You are your child's first guru. How you connect to Guru, Shabd Guru, is how your child connects to you. Your child will ask you questions. There's one source I would recommend that everyone read, and it's called Guru Nanak Chamaktar, and it's by Veer Singh. It's a free download. If you put into Google Guru Nanak Chamaktar, I think it's available from gurbanivichar.com. There's a website. It's basically the autobiography of Guru Nanak Dev Ji. And one small example of that is, we've heard the Sakhi of Guru Nanak Dev Ji when he fed the starving sadhus with the money that his dad gave him, went home, dad slapped him. If you read that book, his dad actually beat him black and blue. Guru Nanak Dev Ji was crying his eyes out. He had a black eye, he had blood coming from his nose, he had blood coming from his lips. Bibi Nanki saw him and she started crying, just seeing how badly her brother had been beaten. Mata Tripta saw both of them crying and she started crying, thinking, Hai, mere munde nu inna kadu kutteya. These things, only you can do Khoj of your. The only way we're going to find prem with our Guru is if we don't even know who our Gurus were. Who was Guru Nanak Dev Ji? Who was Guru Angad Dev Ji? Who was Guru Amar Das Ji? What did they achieve? What did they do? Why are they so important for us? We need to do that Khoj. We need to take a little bit of time out to do that Khoj. Then you have Surya Prakash, which is the Katha of all our Gurus. It tells you everything that our Gurus did. What each Guru tackled something. And every, we say, Sade bacche ni sanu sonde, Sade maa pe sanu idda kende ha. Guruan nal vi idda hoya si. Our Gurus were hypocrites. They came and they took on all the problems that we have and showed us practically. You had up to Guru Arjan Dev Ji, up to Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji Maharaj, where you had all the day-to-day problems, all the Janga Judha da sama nahi si. Because we say now, oh, Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji, Guru Gobind Singh Ji, he was all battles, wars. But those battles and wars, the spirituality was never compromised. Guru Nanak Dev Ji to Guru Arjan Dev Ji, they had every single problem that every single one of us is having, but we don't know about these things. We need to research, we need to understand what it is that made our Gurus our Guru. Why did Guru send them down? What did they do? We hear a Sakhi here and there, we'll sit in Katha for an hour, we'll hear little bits here and there, but it's time to fill in those blanks now. Because remember, you are the first Guru of your child. Your child is going to want to know from you, who is Guru Nanak Dev Ji? Now when my little son, he calls the Gurdwara Guru Gobind Singh. So we go to the Gurdwara, he's like, Mommy, Guru Gobind Singh. And I'm like, yeah, Guru Gobind Singh. Then we've got a picture in our house of Guru Gobind Singh on a horse, and Guru Gobind Singh, Guru Gobind Singh. So then now we just show him pictures. And now he's starting, Guru Gobind Singh Ji, horsey, wow, big horsey. Soon he's going to start asking questions. Who is Guru Gobind Singh Ji? What did he do? Children, they're empty vessels waiting to be filled. And it's the Ma who does that. We need to know what it is that makes us Sikhs. We need to have core Javataram, and that cannot come from Gurbani alone. There is a whole backstory to Gurbani and Ittihas, and the two have to come hand in hand. You know your Ittihas, you will understand Gurbani much better. You understand the circumstances. Like if we read the Shabd, Tera kiya meetha lage, har naam padaadat Nanak mange. That Shabd was recited when Guru Arjan Dev Ji was sitting on a Tati Tavi. Why was he sat on that Tati Tavi? Did you know that all the Devta in the world actually came to Guru Arjan Dev Ji's feet and says, why are you allowing this to happen? The fire that was under his tawa, that was going to burn him, wo Agni Devta Pargat ho gaya si. And he goes, "Is sato paap na kara Guru Maharaj. We can't do this to you." Aag da roop tar ke came to Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj and says, I can't do this. So many people came to Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj and says, why aren't you stopping this? You, tu te duniya da malika. Why are you allowing such paap to happen? Guru Arjan Dev Ji goes, it's his bana. There's a bigger plan at play. This has to happen for the future of Sikhi to happen. We need to know these things and we need to pass these stories on. We do the nursery rhymes, we do 5 little monkeys, we do Incy Wincy Spider till the cows come home. Peppa Pig has become, you know, the stories of our household. I'm guilty, my son loves Peppa Pig too, you know, so I'm not exempt from that, Hannah. But when your child goes to bed and he wants a story, telling the story of our forefathers, because those stories in a child's mind, they will manifest, and it means so much more to a child than it does to us. Because you remember when you were a child and my mum used to tell me stories, and my mother would tell me stories, I remember them for days, and a child's mind is so pure. As we get older, as we get a bit more entrapped into the dunyavi things, our children are still young. For them it's an amazing thing. For boys you will do a different sort of Sakhi. For the girls you'll talk about, you know, Bibi Nanki, you'll talk about Mata Kivi, you'll talk about Mata Tripta, then you'll also talk about that the first person to ever have darshan of Guru Nanak Dev Ji was a woman. Daulat Dai, she was the nanny at the time, and when Guru Nanak Dev Ji was born, she was the first person to have darshan of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, a woman. The first Sikh in our history was a woman, Bibi Nanki. She was the one who saw the light of God in Guru Nanak Dev Ji. She was the one who would fight against her dad for Guru Nanak Dev Ji. When the dad was ready to beat the crap out of Guru Nanak, saying, you're doing my head in. She was the one who'd be like, no, you can't see what he is, I can. He gave that sight to Bibi. Do not ever underestimate how important you are to your Guru and how important you are in Sikhi. Through you, future generations will rise. You might be young now, but as I still remember being 13, now I'm 30 with a child. It's so much easier for you now. You have the internet, you have social media, you have access to everything. Things have been translated into English. Guru Nanak Dev Ji's life story has been translated into English. So many other things have been translated. Gurbani has been translated into English for you. Guru Maharaj is literally throwing it in your hands and saying, look, I'm trying to make it as easy as possible for you. Pado, please. It's there. After today's session, we can no longer claim ignorance. Now whatever we do is a consequence of our actions and our intent. And we need to acknowledge that it's not a bad thing. Guru knows you, Guru made you, Guru created you, Guru knows you better than yourself. You say to Guru Maharaj, I'm a bit set in my ways, I'm lazy, I prefer to do this but I'm not really interested in this. Thoda Sahai Davo. Look at Baba Buddha Ji. He did seva up to Guru Har Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj. When Guru Angad Dev Ji went alop after Guru Nanak Dev Ji went to Sachkhand, Guru Angad Dev Ji couldn't cope, so he went into hiding. The Sikhs went to Baba Buddha Ji. I heard this Sakhi account last week and I never thought about Baba Buddha Ji until I was like, oh my God, we hear the name Baba Buddha Ji, yes, he did the seva, all the gurus, you know, you hear the very bare bones of the story. But he did seva of 6 gurus until he was 115 years old. And you know, on his dying, when he was on his last breath, he asked for Guru Har Gobind Sahib Ji to come to him. And you know what his last words to Guru Har Gobind Sahib Ji Maharaj was? Guru Maharaj, I've done seva in your darbar for 93 years. Jis sade ko koi bhul chuki ya galti hogi sanu maafi bakhsh do. You've given me the thing that I wanted the most. That मैं अपने आखिरी श्वास थोड़े दर्शन देखे छड़न लग आया. जिस साडे को कोई गलती होगी सानू माफी बख्श दो. Such is the nimrata of a Guru Sikh who served all 6 Gurus. And when going back to what I was originally saying, when Guru Angad Dev Ji went into hiding, the Sikhs were going, where's the next Guru? Because obviously Guru Nanak Dev Ji ne Gurgati, Guru Angad Dev Ji ne diti si. So the Sangat were going crazy looking for him. They went to Baba Buddha Ji, and Baba Buddha Ji took the Sangat to Guru Angad Dev Ji, and the same thing happened with Guru Amar Das Ji. If you ever feel that you're far away from your Guru, Baba Buddha Ji nu ardas karo. Behave Baba Buddha Ji, jida tusi Sikhan nu apne Guru nu labban, jado Guru gwaach gaya si, sade li bhi Guru gwaachya pya hai. Baba Buddha Ji sanu Guru ko leke jao. Aisi amrit shagge bhi hare sanu Guru labda nahi, aisi nahi amrit shagya sanu Guru nahi labda, sanu Guru na milap kar do. These things, these people are still here with us because their legacy still lives with us. I mentioned Baba Buddha Ji. Baba Buddha Ji is with us here now. I mentioned Guru Nanak Dev Ji, he's here with us now. Gur mere sang sada hai nale, simar simar te sada samale. He's with you every time. And when you stop believing that, when they stop becoming words and it becomes a reality for you, you'll never ever feel alone, you'll never feel scared. That's the power of our Guru, and that's the power of Gurbani. Gurbani was not meant to simply be read. Bani parni ni, bani karni bhi pendi a. वो चीज़ करनी पैंदी आ. हुक्म ही अंदर सबको बाहर हुक्म ना कोई. It has to become a reality for us, and this will take time. This is bhakti, this is abhyas, this is doing part. We don't do it every day out of ritual. Part kar liya thik, tape lali thik. What are the words saying? Are we applying them to our lives? Going back to Karam. See, Maharaj says here, we all know this Pangati. Changiyaiyaan buriyaiyan vache taram hadur karmi apo apani ke nede ke dur. Maharaj makes it very clear, the good deeds and the bad deeds, the record is read out in the presence of Dharamraj. According to their own actions, some are drawn closer and some are drawn further away. So we ask these questions that why do bad people get away with things? Maharaj makes it very clear, karmi apo apani. You have a choice, you have actions, you have consequence. Action, intent and consequence. If we can drill these things into our mind, my actions have a consequence. What intent am I carrying out my actions? That's what will determine my karam. That's what will determine whether I become close to him or whether I'm becoming further away from him. What role does Vaheguru play in this? He's part of all that. He's part of the hukum because he put us here. He's part of the action because he's given you a choice by telling you what kind of actions you should be committing and what kind of actions you should be staying away from. And he tells you, Jiyo be mele bahro nirmal. He tells you that it's not just enough to complete a good action. You need good intent behind that action. And if you have good intent behind good actions, you will have a good consequence. Tera beej pe gaya. Tusi seva kiti na. You find a homeless person on the street and tusi tars kha ke unu sandwich leke de dita na. O tera hisab utte Guru ko gaya. Pi ine koi changa kam kita hai. That's what we need, this balance sheet of good actions, bad actions, maade karam, change karam. We need to fill up the good karam side. But without these three things, especially the action and the intent, those are the things that we need to be working on every single day. We need to be looking within ourselves and making sure these things are correct. And where we don't understand how we should be going, this is why you have a hub now. This is why you have Seva to discuss these things. So again, these are the common questions that I've been asked a lot, so I just thought it'd be good to go over these based on the framework that we've discussed. Why do bad people get away with everything? So we see some of the, if we look in the world nowadays, there's so much war, destruction, and we see so many people in power getting away with things. I mean, like, many people know I'm a sevadar for SOPW, and we work for Sikh political prisoners who are innocent, but they've been arrested and put into prison because they're Sikhs and no other reason. And the people who put them there are prime ministers, they're chief ministers, they become heads of everything. And we think, Maharaj, why? Why are the good people suffering and why are the bad people getting away with it? Very simple, Karam. The bad people we see now weren't always bad. Let's go back to, because of their Karam from their previous life, they got a good life this time. The fact that they've got high positions, the fact that they're doing well in the world, and they're going to get that regardless. But when they've come into this life, they've committed a new set of actions with a new set of intent, which will have new sets of consequences. Now, we might not see that in this life. We might not see these people. But Maharaj, there's a much, much bigger play. There's a much, much bigger view to this. We look at this life, and I'm Sukhi Kaur and I'm 30 now. Where was I 150 years ago? Where will I be in 150 years' time? Time to tell you, ऐसी चल जाना है, ऐसी वापस आ जाना है. Maharaj is because I've seen the decline in my 10 years from when I was a child to when my sister went to school. There's an 11-year gap. And when I went to school, teenage pregnancies were unheard of. Nowadays, 12-year-old, the sign has changed in my own. The signs of Kal Yuga times getting worse. I've seen the decline in my own life, and I'm sure you're all seeing it around you. See, Maharaj isn't ignoring. That's why you're given opportunities like this to be shaken awake a little bit. Even we need it sometimes. You need to be shaken a little bit to be like, this isn't all there is. What you're seeing around you, there is good happening in the world. And like I said, there's people getting away with everything that's happened to our political prisoners, but then Maharaj gives seva to people like what we do to make sure that they're passing through the system and they're getting out. There's always a counterbalance. There's so many things happening with women and Aurata in the world, but then you're having initiatives like this that are being set up that are trying to counterbalance that. Now you have a choice which way you go after this. You now have a forum, you now have somewhere to come to and discuss and go over these things. Or we can choose after today, you know what, that wasn't for me. I prefer the life I'm in, I prefer the way I am, and that's that. You've made a choice with an intent. Your action is, I'm not going to be part of this anymore. And you'll have consequences of that. Where you will go without Sangat, Maharaj Jane. Where you go with Sangat, Maharaj Jane. But you'll always have a choice. Maharaj always gives you a choice in everything that you do. You just have to see it. Again, I hope that I cover like why God allows people to suffer in this world. Good people weren't always good. Bad people aren't always bad. We all come with Karam. I might not have been a good person in my last life. I might not be a good person in a week's time. All I can guarantee is the breath I'm taking now. And everything else is an ardas to Maharaj to keep us on the straight and narrow. Kal pata nahi kitho aisi, like I says, nightclubs, turning into swimming pools, tattoos, drinking, clubbing, partying. Ithe aa gaya. You don't know what's around the corner. But if you have a chance to bring positivity, to bring all those good things that and your soul needs these things. If we search inside ourselves, we're looking for something, and we think we find it through, we do our education, and we think that's one, that thing's never quite fulfilled. That's how I always felt. That there's something, and till if I do my padai, that thing will feel a bit better. Okay, I'll do the next thing, I'll get an even better job, or I'll get married, and then I'll have kids, and then I'll watch my kids grow up, and then, but there's that thing that's never quite satisfied, and only He, because you came from Him, you are an Atma, He is Paramatma, you are a soul, He is the Supreme Soul. You're always meant to be with Him, and you will be with Him. One day or another, you're all going to go back to Him. Whether it be today, whether it be tomorrow, whether it be this life, whether it be the next life, you have to perform those actions to get the consequences and the results to get onto that right path. No one can do that other than each and every one of you. You are responsible for your own actions, your own intent, your own behavior. So now going beyond that, what do we do when we leave here today? So we've heard, I'm hoping you guys enjoyed the talk, but the real test will kick in when we leave here, when we go back to our homes, we go back to work, we go back to our families. So we need to keep it real and we need to keep it practical. So I came up with it, well, from experience. I'm not a pracharik, I don't do this on a regular basis. All I'm sharing with you guys is some of the things that I've overcome in my life and that I'm struggling with still in my life. But collectively, talking about these things in Sangat can hopefully mean that we make a link with each other and hopefully some of these things will work for us. Honesty is the big thing. Be honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself if you're not feeling the connection. Be honest with yourself if you are feeling the connection. Be honest with yourself about every aspect of your life and understand yourself. The one person you cannot lie to is yourself, but we still do it. Understand what it is that you need to find your peace and do not be afraid to embark on that journey. So like I said, being honesty with yourself is the first priority. Then your honesty with others will come as a byproduct of simply being honest with yourself. We're very good at lying to ourselves, convincing ourselves, allowing ourselves to be manipulated or making someone else's truth our own. Because one common thing that's always says to me is that I want to come into Sikhi, I do my part, I do this, but I don't want to cover my head, I don't want to wear the Quran, I have a lot of facial hair and that's a big thing for me and I'm not ready to do that. That's fine. If you're not ready to do that, does your Guru not understand your pain? Do you think that he will not give you a solution to those problems? Because he did for me. I had those same concerns and I cannot share anything with you guys that I didn't share because then I would be a big hypocrite. Yes, facial hair was a massive issue for me because, facial was a gory. I wanted to look good. I had the latest designer clothes and my eyebrows were manicured every other week. I used to wax my legs, I hated facial hair. I hated seeing women with facial hair because I thought that it didn't look nice. I'm being very honest with you. Then when I started, when my Kuch Kuch Hota Hai started with Guru Maharaj, when we started, singing songs in the fields together, as I like to say it, I talked to Maharaj about these things. Maharaj isn't sitting just in a Gurdwara. Maharaj doesn't come through going in front of a photo and putting your hands together. Maharaj is here. Sometimes you'll be feeling something and you'll just want to say, Maharaj, Maharaj, I'm feeling like this. Talk to him. That's when your relationship with him is at its most potent because that feeling is born from real emotion. See, sometimes, again, talking from personal experience, you'll stand there and you'll do the full ardas and your mind's thinking, oh my God, I'm going to wake up in 15 minutes, I've still got to do his breakfast, I've got his uniform to iron and I've got to take his I've got to take him to nursery and I've got to pick up the car from the garage. But then, I've got to quickly finish this ardas. What cheese nahi bandi? They say you were sitting down in your living room and you just closed your doors and you thought, Maharaj, I'm really thankful for today. Thank you. Sometimes you'll hear that voice and I'm going, you're welcome. Because that's who he is. He wants you just as much as you want him. Now it's time to break down those barriers that we've created thinking that he's so hard to get to. Jin prem kiyo tin hi prab payo. Sach kaho sun le ho sabe. Guru Gobind Singh Ji's bachan cannot be a lie. Jin prem kiyo tin hi prab payo. He made it that simple. We need to learn to love. We need to break down these barriers that we put up and that think that we can find Maharaj just through part alone or just through keeping our head. All those things are important, but you need prem, which is going to be like, what's the best way to describe it? It's like turbo boost in a car. So you're driving your car, but then some of those weird cars have that turbo boost on, then the car suddenly goes from 100 to 200 miles per hour. It gives you that additional push. because that is what it was always meant to be. The part takes you to prem. But if we just made it about doing part and not reading part, but not doing the part that Mara, because it's all instructions. I mean, if we go back to some of the books of Bani, Maharaj is telling you, he's talking to you. This is Guru Nanak Dev Ji, he's talking to you. You know, good deeds, it's all going to be read out. Pote tenu dasda ya, jo tusi change karde hain, jo tusi mare karde hain, pote ye sara mainu pata ya. Idda na soch bhi mainu pata nahi. Jo tusi karde hain na, wo tenu oda hi natija milna pote. Wo tenu dasde ya. Guru Nanak's telling you. We cannot say that we didn't know, because we read this every day, or we listen to it every day. Japji Sahib at least. And I'm sure everyone here has heard Japji Sahib. This is right at the end of Japji Sahib. Every day we read this. And if you look at the meanings of Japji Sahib, it's like, it's the meaning of life. It tells you everything. It tells you about what happens when you listen. Then you get to Panch Parvan when you're connecting to him. Maharaj tells us everything. He tells us every step of the journey. And he tells you very, very clearly. He's talking to us. That is Gurbani. You want to have darshan of Guru Arjan Dev Ji, tusi koi bani di tuk le lo jidi Guru Arjan Dev Ji ne likhi hai. Sukhmani Sahib da part. Guru, if you can sit down and do Japji Sahib and think, I'm not doing Japji Sahib, Guru Nanak Dev Ji is talking to me. Mainu salah dinda hai Guru Nanak Dev Ji the. Because your Guru, this is what Shabd Guru is. Understanding Shabd Guru is understanding that wherever there's part happening, Guru is talking. Guru now might not have a physical, but he's always talking. When there's an Akhanda part happening and everyone's sitting downstairs, it's one of the things that really hurts me. When you see the Akhanda parts happening and everyone's in the Langar hall having their own conversation, Mara bechara kalla apne aap nu hi boli janda ya. Or you have like the Bibi on the side who are having their own little dialogues, bless them, you know, they can't help themselves, you know. But Maharaj jadon part hunda hai, Maharaj bolda hai, your Guru is talking to you. Now we have to rein that mind in, we have to rein it, and we have to like beat it and samjha it and console it. It's like another relationship in itself. But you now know what you need to do. So again, doing over saying, your actions are everything. To say you're doing something is not the same as doing it. To read Gurbani is not enough. We have to do what Gurbani says. Because doing it is not, if you read Gurbani, it's not hard. It's about living a good life. It's about being honest. It's about being decent. It's about falling in love. It's about staying away from those things that are bad for you. And then if you cross-reference this with other religions, it's actually very similar, the things to stay away from, the things that you should be doing, positive actions in your life. Dharam ta dharam hunda, Rab da rasta. But it's been made very easy for us, very, very easy for us. Good intent, the intent behind your actions, your seva, your part, your bolani, or however you're interacting, the intent behind it. Please pay attention to the intent behind your actions. I've been told you do wonderful presentations, you talk very, very well, but only I know what's going on in my head while I'm talking. And only me and Guru know. He knows how presentation kitta hai, but I know your mind was wondering. I know what you were thinking. Sorry. I know you know. He knows what's that intent. Because he watches the intent. If anything, we need to be paying more attention to that than the actions that we commit. Because if we sort out the intent, the actions will sort out themselves in a dialogue. Close your eyes and listen what's going on in your mind. Have we ever taken just 10 minutes out of one day and just closed our eyes? Doesn't matter what you're doing, it doesn't matter what's going through your head, but just listening to your own thoughts. Even if you could take 5 minutes out of every single day and just listen to what is going on in your head, all this will become clear. You'll know what your inner dialogue is. And you can only cure something when you know what the bamari is. But if we're not even, we rush through life, we rush through everything, and we don't pay attention to ourselves. And we all must, Bibi especially, you need to be at peace with yourselves. I was talking about this whole facial hair issue. It's once I made peace with myself, it stopped being an issue, I'll be honest. When I saw myself as my, like I'm telling you, na, when you know, your guy and Shah Rukh Khan loves you, who cares? He loves me. If I start looking at myself the way my lover looks at me, shall we say, the way my husband looks at me, I'm the most beautiful woman in the world because he's made me the most beautiful woman in the world. I wear this because he put it here. I wear this because he put it there, and he still found me beautiful. But what's happened is what the dunya finds beautiful has become more important to us. And this is where it's so hard, and I understand because I went through it. To switch off from the world and switch on to him will be one of the hardest journey a woman takes. But when you take it, it's one of the... Hanji, sorry, Benji.
I was going to ask, how do you? That's where I am just now. How do you switch off from the world and what people think?
You talk to him. You tell him how you're feeling. Make your link with him. Because those dunya only comes in when there's no one else. You need to replace anything, like when you have a drug addict, Benji. When you take the drugs away, you have to be giving them something else. So what do? They give them a small dose, don't they? So that their craving is taken care of, but they're not, is to wean them off. So we have to keep, we're women, we have to listen to the galla, and we will listen to the galla. We have been listening to the galla. Pata nahi kinne saalan nu sanu sunniya painiya. I still hear it. I'm married and I still have people coming over saying, tera byaah kidda hona hai? Tu tere muh te case ne tere to bandeya vargu lagdiyan. Ade aunty ji mera ta byaah hoya hai. Mere singh nu to koi problem nahi, mera bachcha bhi hoya hai. Fe bhi pot hai. I'm like, nahi aunty, ऐसी ठीक हाँ जिद्दां गुरु महाराज ने बनाया है ऐसी ठीक हाँ ऐसी गुरु महाराज का शुकराना कर देने सानू बचाया है. And they shut up. That's what I found. Because when you become happy with him and you have that with him, these people, when you know, when the illusion breaks, talk to him in your own way. However you connect to him, Benji, he will be there for you. When you start seeing yourself through his eyes, you will be the most beautiful woman in this world, and you are, because you're his, and he made you, and you're his soul bride. He's going to take you where you need to go. These dunyavi people aren't. Apne are the worst. Sadiya bibiyan are the worst. They are the I know so many bibiyan who come up to me and says, "Aisi amrit chakna chaਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ, ਪਰ ਮੇਰੀ ਮਾਂ ਇਦਾਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੀ ਆ ਵੀ ਮੇਰਾ ਵਿਆਹ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਹੋਣਾ ਆ, ਮੇਰਾ ਆ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਹੋਣਾ, ਰਿਸ਼ਤੇਦਾਰਾਂ ਨੇ ਕੀ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਆ, ਫਲਾਣੇ ਬੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਕੀ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਆ." Up until now, what has Fulana Banda had to do in your life? Who puts roti on your table? Who pays your bills? Who makes sure you go to sleep at night and you wake up in the morning? Not Fulana Banda. Apne ghar vich theek raho. Once you, the aurat has so much power, I'll tell you this. Once an aurat transforms, everyone else transforms around her. We are surrounded by negativity, but when your own aura, when your own vibration becomes so positive, your positivity will always overpower someone's negativity. And that's what I can tell you through experience. People don't understand why I laugh about facial hair. People don't understand. But only I understand because it's not an issue for me, and it's very hard for me to say to someone, yeah, and I don't say it to women, yeah, keep your facial hair, it'll all be fine. You need to take it at your level and rely on him to give you support, and I guarantee you he will give it, because he gave it to me. And I'm not different from you. Jidda main odi dhi haan, tu bhi odi dhi haan. He's my husband, he's your husband. He was the one who was made for all of us, and we all enjoy him in our own way. We will all come from within. But he is perfect. Dunya is not. It's very simple. Once you get to the, talk to him, have that conversation with him, and he will give you what you need. And it will take time. Don't rush. Like I said, pyar hai na, hunda hai. And I'm so sorry I'm using Bollywood dialogue, but they clocked it. If they could put Maharaj in the place of Shah Rukh Khan, everyone would be dharmik by now, I tell you now. Because the principle, this people are crazy over Bollywood because it's this fantasy, isn't it? These people come back from the dead, but in the dramas I know people are coming back from the dead, my mother-in-law watches them, but this concept of this beyond boundaries love that conquers all, that's what he is. And this is what, but this comes through you and him, and it's hard to connect when there's not a physical being before you. That's why he gave you shelter. And he tells you, it's like, there's so many beautiful, beautiful talks, and I know we're going to be here all day, and I'll try and share some of them with you. When Ma says, Sachi Preet, hum tum syo jori, tum syo jor, avar sangatori. When I fell in love with you, he goes, my ties from everyone else broke, because that was the intensity of that love. Gurbani teaches you how to love. And then when you love him with that same intensity, he loves you with 50 times more intensity than you could ever love him. Remember, one step towards the Guru, he takes 1,000 steps towards you, because he's been waiting. He's been waiting since the beginning of time for you to come back to him, for all of us to come back to him. Take him off this pedestal of judgment and condemnation and paap and sin, and he knows this is Kalyug. We're on one leg, and Maharaj gave us a break with Gurbani, and he's like, Pachare fase paya, dharam hai kalat te khada hai, chalo innu deiye kosh. He understands. Do not think for 1 second the Guru doesn't understand. He does. But you need to make that relationship for him so you can start hearing him. I hope that answered your question, Benji.
Thank you.
It's okay. So just a final thought, and this comes in there as Saibana paper Apatamanu de Huria, Gobind Milan ki eh teri bhaiya, avar kaaj tere kite na kaam, mil saad sangat pal ke valnam, saranjam laal pavja taran ke, janam bretha jaat rang maya ke, jab tap sanjam taram na kamaya, seva saad na janya haraya, koh Nanak hum neech karma, saran pare ki rakho sarma. You see, Guru Maharaj, this is where we are realistically. See, Maharaj tells you, you think I don't understand what you're going through. We're stuck in this world. Guru Nanak understood. That's why he made Gurbani in such a way to say, I understand you. This is how you talk to God. This is how we know our Guru is perfect. He gives you the dialogue. He's telling you, look, this human body has been given to you. This is your chance to meet with him. Nothing else is going to work. It's a reality. We're in Sad Sangat now. We vibrate on him. We meditate on him. And he's like, look, make every effort to cry. And even look, this terrifying world ocean, even he could have said, yeah, to cross over this worldly ocean. He knows it's terrifying, because this is each one of you has an insecurity, a fear, a dar, and that becomes your terrifying world ocean. My dar might not be the same as yours, or yours, or yours, or yours, but he understands. He knows that all. This is why Gurbani is universal, because it's terrifying. That journey to take to him is terrifying, because it means waking up to this illusion that we are in. And it will be, because I remember when we were coming into Sikhi, it was a very gradual thing. It was about 2.5 years. We did it very slowly. So I was a meat eater. I used to drink and wore very, very questionable clothing. That's why you'll never see a picture of me between the ages of 19 and 23. I had to destroy those photos. But as those changes gradually, I did it very simply. So like, you do the typical thing, you stop eating meat on a Sunday. I'll stop on Sunday and Tuesday. Then Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday. Like, well, okay, we'll throw in the weekends. It was very gradual. And then I remember someone gave me a mala. You remember how they said to share mala then karne chahiye? Well, I didn't know that a mala was an 108 mala. That was what one mala meant. So I had one of these gade mala that had about like 20 beads on it. So basically I had this post to say that, if you want God's blessing, you should do 1 Saj party in a month, 250 Japji Sahibs or 15 Sukhi. I read them and I was like, too hard, can't be bothered to do that. Then I saw six mala and I was like, yeah, that's the easiest. That's the one I'm going to do. So I had my little 20 bead mala, not understanding what an 108 mala was. I was like, excellent, that's the easiest one I'm going to do. So at about 6 o'clock in the morning, I'd roll out of bed. I wouldn't even wash my face. I'd go to the toilet and I'd sit on the floor and you can go to the two. And I would do this so quickly, within about 15 minutes I'd be done. Put my mala to one side, jump back into bed. I did that for about 6 months. Then I thought, I better actually start washing my face before I sit down, because it's a bit gross really. So I used to wash my face and then sit down. Then I tried to slow down a little bit, I'm rushing this. It happened very, very gradually. Then after about a year, someone told me what one mala was. And I was like, oh my God, 108 mala, that's hard. But it wasn't as hard as it was. Maharaj made my 30 bead mala into 108 mala to get me on the path. So when I actually came to discover what an actual mala was, it wasn't that difficult to do. Then we slowly stopped eating meat completely. We stopped drinking. We started trying to keep our gaze. But I'll be honest, there were times when it came too hard. I cut it again. It was a very, very, like, you know, as I got to know him, the changes came. When I started getting lazy in my time that I committed to my relationship, we went through a bad patch, me and Guru did. So, you know, then you have to take some time out and invest that relationship. You see, a relationship with your Guru is no different to like those of my Bibi here who are married, or, you know that a relationship is compromised, is taking time out for each other. You'll have your arguments, but you stick it through thick and thin, because you know it's you and that person for life. And that's what it's like with Maharaj. Once we've been given this, you know it's you and him for life. Ek khed nahi hai na, amrit sasti cheez hai nahi. That's why I always say, build everything inside first, make that relationship, bring that discipline into your life. Because discipline is good, it's what you need nowadays. It's not, discipline isn't shoving part down your kid's throat and smacking their hands and making them do part when they don't want to. Discipline is understanding that dunya idhar jandi hai, main idhar jana, because I know that where that's going to take me and where that path's going to take me. This is coming into discipline. You might fall off and want to go that way because it's very tempting, because 90% of the dunya is going that way. You are going to look back and think, oh, they look like they're having fun. You know, should I go chill there today? I'm sure it'll be fine. But this is that journey you take. And once all this inside happens, this is relative. It's anaya. Because once that vessel is filled with him, he then adorns it. It's a very beautiful thing with Maharaj. He's sasi na banaiye. You know, that's why I say, you know what? Don't think about Amrit. Think about Sikhi. What it means to be a Sikh, what it means to be a Gur Sikh, who your Gurus were. All this will come. I promise you it will come. When it will come depends on those things that we talked about in our framework. Because, you know, it isn't just going to magically appear. Changes had to come. And it's through these things, our karam. Karam is what brings you to him. Karmiya apo apani, ke nede ke dur. If we want to become close to him, these things need to change, our actions, our intent. It will come because he lends us the strength to do it. Okay, and that's basically the end of my presentation. I'm so sorry if I rambled. I'm not really good at doing these things, but I just talk as I've experienced. I'm not I don't know, as Benji knows, you don't really see me doing these much, but because I do a lot. Yeah, I do the SOPW presentation, which is all there and ready, but give him a chance, that's all I say. When you do, you'll see the whole world change around you. And I can only talk from experience. And it's a journey, definitely, each one to you, to your own. Make him yours in your way. How I connect to Maharaj will be very different, how each one of you connect to him. But connect karo. Find your inner dialogue with him. He's everywhere, not just in a Gurdwara. He's not just in a photo. He's indar baitha hai. Unna connection banao. Fulla chukka hai. Vaheguru ji ka khalsa. Vaheguru ji ki fateh.